this lesson, we're still talking about sequences, but we're going into geometric sequence. Well, what is a geometric sequence? Basically is, instead of adding or subtracting, we're doing the same thing, but we are now multiplying only. Either you're multiplying to make the number bigger, going to the right, or you're multiplying to make the number smaller as you move forward in the sequence. And again, I know some people might think it's easier to divide, but the formula focuses on multiplication only. If you want to make a number smaller, you don't divide, you just multiply by a fraction. So instead of saying divide by 3, I just multiply it by 1/3. That's something you need to remember for this lesson. Well, if we go to our last problem, which is a little bit challenging, we want to write a recursive formula. Now remember, a recursive talks about the following two things. We need the first term. Still for geometric, we need the same thing, first term. And now we also need, in this case, it's not called the common difference because we're no longer adding or subtracting the same thing. We are calling it the common ratio because now it's a multiplication, okay? Well, let's figure these things out. Oops, sorry about that. Well, a sequence is always in order, so we know this is term number 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Well, then you guessed it, our first term is actually 1. It's already there. So number 1 is our first term. Now, what are we doing over and over to these numbers? Now, here's a little strategy, guys. Maybe sometimes you're dealing with big numbers and you might get overwhelmed, like, geez, I don't know what 125 times what gives me 625. But in reality, you don't need to know that because since we're multiplying the same thing all over the place, you can focus on two numbers that are easier to figure out, like from 1 to 5 or from 5 to 25. You know you have to multiply by 5. And because we do the same thing over and over, everything is by 5. And you can check with a calculator, 125 times 5 actually gives you the next term. So you found your common ratio, which is times 5. Now you want to write it in recursive. Once again, you want to name the sequence, pick any letter. I'm going to use K this time. K of 1 because it's recursive. So my first term is actually 1. Okay, pretty cool. And at the bottom, we still call it K. K of n because it's the formula. This always goes the same. K of n minus 1. And at the end, you put the common ratio, which is not plus, not minus, but now it's a multiplication of 5. And that's basically the recursive formula for geometric sequences.